Hello, this is Deborah Anderson, the Black Woman Animator, coming back to you with another video. In this video, I have my guest Andre Rodriguez, and we're talking about blackness in animation. So, Andre, just introduce yourself right quick.
Yes, I'm Andre Rodriguez, as Deborah's already said, and I'm currently working at Blue Sky Studios in Connecticut. I've been there 6 years now. I started in the summer of 2013. Um, you want me to give a little history, little?
Sure, yeah, you can do that.
Okay, so my story is a little bit is different than pretty much everybody I met in the industry. I was exposed to CG in the California Department of Corrections. For those of you that doesn't know what that means, that's the prison system. So I learned about it in Tracy State Prison. They had a drafting class in there, and so I was lucky enough that I'm an artist. So I was lucky enough that they put me in Tracy State Prison where they had a drafting class in the vocation department. And but they had this little room in there, and in the room they had these computers in there. And I come from a town where growing up there was no computers in school and none of that kind of stuff. So I look at this stuff like I'm in Star Trek, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Teacher tells me this stuff is for CG. And I said, what's that? Computer graphics. And so he showed me the programs they had on there at the time. They had Softimage, they had 3D Studio Max and AutoCAD. So he's saying that if I learn this stuff, I can go out there and make movies like Toy Story and whatnot. I'm like, what? Nah, I don't think so. so after I paroled in '98, um, I really didn't think that was possible. So I just went and got a regular job. And then out of the blue, I got a brochure from the Art Institute in the mail. I don't know how, because I didn't even know that art schools existed. Had no idea. So then I said, what the hell? And called my pops. Pops put that John Hancock down to help me with the loans and jumped into college. And my whole world was just opened up, and I met all these people. They're artists and computer geniuses and whatnot. And then I had a great time at college. And then 2005 I graduated. And then after that I said, what's the chances of an ex-felon, a black ex-felon? You know what I'm saying? Especially with my what I went in there for. That's a whole other story for another time. Who would hire me? So I said, you know what? Let me just go get a job. So I was just about to get a job at Home Depot, sign all the paperwork, everything. It was good to go. And a friend of mine helped me get an interview at PDI DreamWorks. It was a friend of mine from college. He helped me get this interview. And when I interviewed there, I interviewed this guy named Drew Sherwood in the facilities department. Right, that's the bottom of the barrel right there. And they didn't have any openings at the time. And so that's when I went job hunting to look for another job. I found the Home Depot gig, and then right the day before the weekend, I was going to start Monday. Thursday, Drew called me and said, we got to open and come in. You're starting. Let's go. And so Friday I had to tell Home Depot, deuces. I can't start my job on Monday. And it's funny because I actually took a significant pay cut not working at Home Depot to go to PDI DreamWorks and work. I took $4 pay cut.
Wow.
Yeah, to start in facilities at DreamWorks. So that's where I started my career, was at PDI DreamWorks in the Bay Area, California, Redwood City. And I was there for 6.5 years. So there I started in facilities. From facilities, I went to Front MPA, which is a production system that covers 8 departments at once. And then from front MPA, I went to modeling coordinator, which is kind of weird because I want to be in the modeling department as a modeler. And then from modeling department coordinator, I went back to facilities as a dispatcher. And then from facilities, I went into the art PA position. And then from the art PA position, I got a chance to do some modeling. So I was doing PA work and modeling at the same time. I was pulling like 60, 70-hour weeks, something like that. And then finally on Madagascar 3, I became a full-time modeler.
Nice.
And yeah, so that's a little quick history of how I became like a professional artist.
So, when I met Andre, we kind of quickly vibed, started a friendship, and we talk about
super
Blackness,
fast.
everything.
Real talk.
Yeah. So,
We're in sync. We're in
yeah.
sync for real, no doubt.
So we definitely wanted to talk about blackness in animation. So first off, we're gonna start with like reminiscing about a lot of the characters that have existed throughout the years. And so, what characters can you think of that you, um, whether you vibe with them or not, what characters have they has the media and the industry presented us with? Like, if you think about back in the day, BT, Cedar's World, Eddie Murphy and the PJs. What characters do you think of?
Man, if you want to go back growing up, Fat Albert.
Right.
Hey, hey,
That was
hey!
that I mean, Fat Albert was I think the cartoon that I watched that where characters looked like me. You know what I mean? Um, I think, but for the most part, so I grew up in a small town, Marysville, California. It's Northern California. And we had a small close knit group of black folks there. You know what I mean? So I'm assuming since it was so small, that's why we were so close knit. You know,
Right.
Most of the people most people there came from like Kentucky, Tennessee, you know, from the deep South, and they had that kind of, you know, you stay within your community kind of thing going on, you know.
Yeah.
But but being in that small town, I wasn't exposed to, like, say, a place like Harlem or a place like Compton. Like if you go down to like Southern Cal, you find like Compton, where it's just black folks, you know,
Right.
everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So we had our community, but it was very small, and I didn't get exposed to a lot of characters that looked like me outside of, like, say, Fat Albert, um, and stuff like, you know, the Cosby Show, A Different World, but that's not animation. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So most of my experiences in animation came from stuff like, when I first came up, I liked stop motion animation.
Okay.
So I liked all the Ray Harryhausen stuff, which is like Jason and the Argonauts,
Okay.
Seven Voyages of Sinbad, like stuff like that. And it
Mm-hmm.
always felt weird, like, where we at?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I had, like, I'm like, but eventually, as you know, sometimes that gets normalized
Yeah.
in things, because all that stuff is entertaining too. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It
So
is.
you just kind of, so then you think that's how it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Usually, if you see somebody dark skin on screen, they're playing the background. You know, and now when I jumped into animation, into this field, um, it it didn't occur to me until I got out here to the East Coast. It didn't really hit me that hard that I probably will never see a lead character as black in a feature animation ever. Yeah. So yeah, but growing up, Fat Albert was the one that really was the one I remember, like a visceral connection to it. You know what I'm saying? Like there
Yeah.
was the Boondocks, and the Boondocks is the shit. But
Right.
when that came out, I was already an adult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up with the Boondocks. So, like,
Were you familiar with the comic strip?
yeah, I was familiar with it, but growing up as a little kid, I remember Fat Albert because that's what I saw when I was a youngster. You know what I'm saying? When I'm in my, like, single digits, you know.
Right.
So, but like the Boondocks, I love the Boondocks, but I didn't grow up with it, so I didn't get that
Yeah.
visceral connection to it. And plus, the Boondocks is very, they talk some serious shit on there. They talk some
Right.
serious subject matters on there. Fat Albert didn't really jump. They were just having a good time on Fat Albert.
Right.
Boondocks was giving you some of that real, what was going on in the real world, you know,
Right.
in a comedic way. So I started getting exposed to more of that once I got older, but it was hard for me to really connect it to my youth because I was already
Yeah.
an adult. You know what I mean? So the one thing that comes to mind for me is Fat Albert.
And when you talk about that normalization, I've heard a couple different people tell stories of, you know, growing up drawing different characters, and then somebody asks like, "Why don't you draw black characters?" And they never think about it because as a kid you're just drawing what you see, and you never think to draw people that look like you. And sometimes, and I fully advocate people could draw whatever they want, but sometimes I go to different people's, whether it's Instagram, Twitter accounts, and stuff like that, and I can't tell that they're a black artist. Not that you have to draw black characters all the time, but they draw nothing but white characters, and I'm like, when they have the hashtag like drawing while black, I'm like, are you sure these people are black, or do they think this is like drawing while in black and white, or like the colorization of it, not the skin color.
It's crazy because I mean there are very few characters that I can think of growing up. There's Storm, you know, from the X-Men, you know what I mean? You got Luke Cage, Power Man, you know. You have Sunspot, but Sunspot, he was like, his powers made him turn into like this jet black character. So it's kind of weird. The original Captain Marvel was black, Monica Rambeau. So, but a lot of times we just get pushed off to the periphery, you know, and it's just hard to. We have to basically exist in the periphery if we're gonna be. We have to exist in this periphery if we're gonna get used to these characters and really get familiar with them and they become our own, you know. Right. And that, I think, is the hardest thing about it, because if you want to, it's sort of like if you want to be at the biggest event, like the biggest party going on New Year's Eve, you go there, and it's just straight milk. You know what I'm saying? And you like, do I really want to be here? You know, it's like where the real party at? You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's over at such and such in this little neighborhood over here. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go over there. So, and in doing that, we're gonna get connected to who we are more so. But then in that, we're also not seeing what's going on. We're not seeing all the machinations happening that's going on, so we can kind of better combat that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a constant kind of, we're juggling two things at the same time.
Yeah, because people are constantly connecting. The way you get the opportunities is friends give their friends opportunities, but if you're not friends with the white people, then you're probably not gonna get the opportunities, because they're gonna give people usually congregate with who they are, and so unless you become friends with a white person, then you're not gonna get that opportunity.
Yeah, pretty much. And here's what's weird. Check this out. So when I got into PDI DreamWorks, the dude that got me in, if you met this cat, you know, he's mixed between Mexican and white. His name's Matt, right? Cool cat. Met him in college. Helped him out with his demo reel, and he said, "Dre, man," and what I did for his demo reel, I went above and beyond, right? But that's because I just love art, you know. He was like, "Dre, if I could do anything for you to get you into the industry, I'm gonna do that."
Right.
This dude, I didn't know this, but he was keeping tabs on me while I was still in college.
Cool.
Making sure he knew when I was gonna graduate, and 6 months before, he already went and talked to people for me, right? So I had that kind of experience all the way through my career so far. I've been lucky, right? Because that's not the case for most people. You know what I mean? Especially most people that look like us. Right. And I got a mouth too, so you know I speak my mind. So it's kind of you know, that can bring up some issues. But I've always had people right there that kind of advocated for me. You know what I mean? So when Drew interviewed me, right, for the facilities job, you know, he asked me about, you know, my background, and I don't bite my tongue. You know what I'm saying? I told him the truth about my past and whatnot, and this dude is like the whitest white dude that you could ever meet. You know what I'm saying? And he straight said to me, "Everybody got a past, Dre. I don't care. I don't give a damn." I was like, "What?" You know? So like, so there are those few people. Yeah. But where it's dangerous for us is that we look at those people and think they represent the majority. Right. That's where we got to be careful, because a lot of times, from what I've seen statistically, because I can speak anecdotally, right? But I try not to do that, because that's kind of living in a bubble, you know. Yeah. So anecdotally, I've had some serious help along the way in my situation, but I definitely know statistically, a lot of times people ain't gonna come to our aid unless it's also beneficial to them. Yeah. or it doesn't. There's no blowback that's going to happen from it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's a constant back and forth that we got to do, man. And
Yeah, and for those
it's
of you
hard
that
to be
don't,
black.
Yeah, and for those of you don't realize, like, we're always looking for mentors, but what Andre had was a sponsor. Like, sponsors, that next level mentor where they're advocating for you. Not like mentors, like, okay, I'm gonna give you this advice, I'm gonna try to direct you in the right path, but a sponsor is like, I'm going to speak on your behalf and get you where you need to go. So you always want to try to get a sponsor.
And he definitely, and it's funny because I met Drew through Laura, and
mhm,
Laura was the manager of facilities, right? Drew,
mhm,
and Laura was the manager of all the workers, but then he was manager of the entire facilities department outside of the immediate people that did all the delivering mail and moving desks and stuff.
mhm,
So I met Drew through Laura, and I met Laura through Matt. But the thing is, Matt and Laura, they both advocated for me, and you could tell they were allies basically. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And
mhm,
then when Drew met me, I could tell Drew was an ally too, just by the way he carried himself. You know what I mean?
right,
He actually this is like a little bit of like information on who Drew is as a person.
mhm,
When he got offered a banging ass job at Google,
mhm,
DreamWorks said, "Hey, can we counter offer? Can you at least allow us to try to give you a better offer to keep you? You know?"
right,
So they gave him a better offer, right?
mhm,
And he said, "I don't want that. I just want raises for my workers." They said no. He said, "All right, I'm leaving." That's the kind of dude. That's the kind of dude he was. So they're out there. It's just that you got to be willing to put people to the test,
yeah,
and then be prepared to be disappointed if they don't check out.
right,
Sometimes that happens. You know what I mean?
right,
Yeah, but you're right. I did have a lot of. I had a few mentors and I had a few people that like sponsored me, that advocated for me. Yeah, I wouldn't be here. Who gonna hire a big ass brother that's next felon and don't bite his tongue? You know what I'm saying?
right,
Ain't no white folks hiring me. You know what I'm saying?
Be like, Papa Andre, I'm sweating. Woo!
Real talk. And it's and I definitely, my career would have ended already had it not been for people that look past that. Because I've already had a few instances in my career already. So
mhm,
I had like 4 major ones so far. that could have like ha. But then people came to my aid and was like, nah, that's not Dre. Somebody talking foul on Dre, leave him alone.
right,
So I was lucky, but like I said, it's a rare thing. It's a
yeah.
rare thing. Yeah.
So some other black characters that's come in the past years. Oh, Bebe's Kids.
Oh, Baby's Kids. Yeah, Robin Harris. And it's funny because see, Robin to me is like you got the cartoon, but then you got the creator who's Robin Harris.
Right,
And I vibe with like Robin Harris the person. The cartoon's
right,
cool, but I'm like the cartoon's cool because of this cat, like
right,
Robin Harris. And unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But yeah, Baby Kids was hilarious. But Baby Kids was one of those things that it was like a moment, and then
mhm,
it was gone. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And that's one of the things that we have to try to fix, man. We gotta stop having just moments.
yeah,
And then they just did like the Boondocks. Why didn't the
right,
Boondocks become like a live action TV show, that was based on the cartoon, or like where'd it go? It just you know what I'm saying? Poof. And I understand what's the guy's name? The writer. I forgot it.
Oh, Aaron Magruder.
There we go. He just stopped writing, you know what I mean? But why didn't it get so huge that it just took on a life of its own, you know what I mean?
right,
And I think that's one of the hurdles we got to get over. Is we got to stop having these little moments where like I don't want to see Issa Rae, I don't want to see her have Insecure, and then a few movies, then she's just gone.
Yeah, I feel like because even the '90s, like with Living Single, Martin, and all that type of stuff, that was like a moment, and I feel like we're in another moment that I hope turns into like a movement.
And the only way that we've had moments like those, like in the '90s, we had Martin and of course Cosby was like the '80s, right? And
yeah,
then they split up into the '90s. Then it became a different world.
Right.
which I vibed on more than the Cosby Show. I like A Different World better than the Cosby Show. You know what I mean? Because it was like just the youngsters at college or whatever. But
Right.
what happens is, from what I've seen, is that we'll have our moment where Black is in vogue again,
Yeah.
right? And then at that moment we don't take ownership of the stuff so we can keep it going, right? We might become in fashion. Everything's cool. Everybody's popping champagne and congratulating each other and whatever. But we're not thinking about who's got their hand on the switch, who could just turn it off. And we never go after that switch. You know, that's our issue. That's the problem. And I think this time around, I'm hoping that we got Byron Allen right now, who's going to who's contesting, who was a Comcast and Charter in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
We got him like going after the big dogs or whatever, but we need more of that, I think.
Right.
Because if we don't get more of that, then it'll just be like a moment, and then we phase out again. Then we become in fashion again, and we phase out again, and we can't keep affording to do that, man.
And then or they'll like use us. So I recently saw an interview with Marlon Wayans, and he was saying how they used the Wayans brothers to build up, was it the WB, and then like they built it up to be popular, and then they canceled their show. Or you have, on the other hand, you have Living Single, which was much more popular than Friends, but Friends, they were getting $1 million an episode, so the Living Single was more popular, asked for their cut, and then they just canceled them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's happening right now with Issa Rae's Insecure, and what was the other Ballers. Those Issa Rae, I think, only gets 8 episodes a season, something like that, and then like Entourage got 13.
Right.
So yeah, it's the same thing happening again, and the only way, and this is my thing. This might catch people off guard. I'm not really tripping off white folks doing that. I'm tripping off of what we ain't doing.
Right.
What we ain't doing. The hell with what they doing. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a goddamn if they're giving us 8 episodes or 13 episodes or whatever. Why aren't we worried about us having our own networks just to do our own stuff?
Yeah.
You know, or why aren't we going to like the own network first, or going to BET? BET's like, but it's still there. Why don't we go to those networks first? You know what I mean?
Right.
Or Tyler Perry Studios. Why don't we go over there first? You know, that's where we have the problem. You know, I'll never look to my competition, i.e. white America. I'll never look to my competition to help me run the race faster, because they already know I'm gonna whoop that ass. So they ain't gonna help us with that. What I am gonna do is look at my peoples and say, why aren't we practicing together?
Right.
Why aren't we trying to teach each other how to run this race faster or more efficient? That's what I look at, because the same thing's gonna always happen. That's gonna happen over and over again. Yeah.
So a couple more recent ones. We already talked about the Boondocks. Cousin Skeeter, which is the puppet. Doc McStuffins, the Proud Family, Fillmore. So those are like a lot of the representations. And just to go back to the Boondocks, it was like a blacker version of Blackish, which is a current show. But it also had multiple representations of black people in multiple generations. So you have like Huey's the woke, Riley is like the gangster, and you got Granddad, which is the old school, and then what's their neighbor's name? The bougie black dude.
Yeah, you talk. Yeah, the Sambo. That's what I call him. He's a Sambo, straight up. Y'all kids better stop doing this thing. You know, that even the voice, even the
Oh no, I'm talking about the Tom, like the light skinned dude. But yeah, then Uncle Ruckus too is the
Uncle
he
Tom.
the Sambo. Yeah, he the Sambo. Yeah, that dude just Lord have mercy.
So it's like it was multiple representations of black people.
It definitely was, but I think also it was a sharper representation. Like, it was meant to sting. You know what I mean? We never see I think Chris Rock said it in one of his interviews. He says when I see a black man able to just be average and be okay, then we've made it. You know what I mean? Like, we can't be that. We're either exceptional we're worth nothing. We're worthless, and
Yeah.
and we can be put in the dirt or put in a jail cell somewhere, and they wouldn't give a damn. So, and I think like the Boondocks was very sharp, and it was like that intentionally, of course, to kind of wake you up, right? Stick you in your ribs a little bit and make you pay attention. I don't really a lot of the stuff nowadays. I'll be quite frank. The animation nowadays, no matter what you're looking at, is soft. A lot of it is soft. It's not. Have you seen Substance, the short Substance?
Yeah, yeah. I did a review of it.
Yeah, Jamal Bradley. He wrote and directed it. He's an animator. I don't know where he's at right now. I knew he used to be at DreamWorks. That's what we're missing.
Yeah.
That kind of grittiness, and kind of nuanced realism. We're missing that in animation, and that's why I'm like, a lot of the animated stuff nowadays is it's all like cookie cutter and it's all formulaic.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it drives me insane.
Yeah, just cutting out that space for, okay, like, first of all, animation is not just for kids, and then the animation that's for like adult topics where you're talking about that real stuff and building that interest.
Yeah, which is strange, because I don't know where the whole animation just for kids thing came from, because so my favorite animation still it hasn't been dethroned yet is The Secret of Nim. Right? The Secret of Nim had a female protagonist.
Yep.
Single mom. Working her ass off, taking care of her kids. It had politics in that animation. It had racism in there. It had like turncoat, backstabbing, evil. It was so gritty. That came out in the 80s.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know where the whole animation for kids things came from.
Who's catching all these jokes? The 5-year-olds aren't catching the jokes that are put in these animations. Even if it's like animation targeted towards kids, so to speak, there's still stuff there for the adults, because they know that they have to bring them to the movie theater, so we need to keep them interested too.
And the thing is, I think a lot of people underestimate kids nowadays. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Because like when I was growing up, so like I said, originally I liked stop motion animation. I liked like monster makeup and stuff like that, animatronic stuff. Yeah. That's the stuff I liked originally, right? And so my mom let me watch horror movies, and I was like 6, 7 years old.
Right.
And the only thing she told me was, "Boy, that's a damn movie. It's fake. You know what I'm saying? I ain't worried about." And she told me there's real things out here that'll kill you.
Right.
And she basically said, we're gonna worry about the real stuff that's dangerous. These is just movies. So she didn't mind me watching the stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure there's other parents out there too that are letting their kids watch this stuff too. It's not like, oh, now that you're 14, you can watch PG-13. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. You know what I mean? So I never got why these companies are doing this whole, this stuff is only for kids, and kids can only get this level of joke. Like any sophistication beyond here, they're not gonna understand. What? Right. I don't get it. And that's them white bread motherfuckers. Let's be real. because we didn't get that in my house. You know what I'm saying? And all my friends were watching. I was watching Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society. I was watching Nightmare on Elm Street for like horror stuff, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. She's like, boy, that shit is fake. You know what I'm saying? She's like, let me tell you about me growing up in the Jim Crow era. I'll tell you some scary shit. That's real. You know what I mean? She's like, you want to see something scary? A white man with money. There you go. That's something scary. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't understand why the industry is, and I think that side of the industry is going to stay that way. We're going to have to just make our own.
Yeah.
And because like Jamal Bradley's animation is crazy, it's ridiculous, it's amazing, and people that are still over here saying that kids only should only be worried about these kind of jokes or focus on this stuff. Those same people are saying his stuff is revolutionary and cutting edge. And it's like, so even though you're complimenting his stuff, you're still stuck over here.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, you stay over there. We're going to start doing our thing over here. Because we can't wait for them to, they're never going to catch up, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
My next question is, what can companies do to take creating Black characters to the next level? So, kind of, they're creating these basic characters, or maybe Black people are just appreciative of whatever they're creating. But how can they take it to the next level? In whether it's their design, the storyline. What do you think?
So it's kind of serendipitous that we're having this conversation at this time, because Blue Sky's working on a story right now where the cast is more diverse, you know, and the brain trust of the film is not diverse, and that's usually the case, right? I think first off we got to start there, right? So, you know, if you ask like these folks that are doing, we can go off animation, we could just say entertainment in general, right?
Yeah.
We could say music, we could say movies, TV shows. If we ask them, do they want a bunch of people depicting them that know nothing about them? They would say no.
Right.
Okay, so we should get the same respect, right? So that's step one off top. As far as like how in a perfect world, how it would be in a perfect world, right? This of course can't be step one in reality, because this is a game of chess and we're playing with half the pieces.
Right.
So I would say that would be step one if they really wanted something authentic. Number two, I think that I took a screenwriting class a long time ago, and the teacher said the first rule of writing any story is you develop your character, you develop your world, and you don't mess with those two. You respect them, right? How does a person that's not of a culture write an authentic character of that culture and respect it? You can't. So that's when you got to bring people in that understand the culture of what's being depicted on screen, right? So if the character's like, say, a Black woman from Detroit, that's different than a Black woman from Memphis.
Right.
Those are two different things. You need to go and find the people that know about that life and about that existence and about all those little intricacies that go into making this person feel real and authentic, you know? And I think that would be the second step that companies should do. So, for instance, Into the Spider-Verse was so good because they hired Peter Ramsey. You know, and I wasn't even gonna go see Into the Spider-Verse, right? Until the one of the art directors at Blue Sky said, "Yeah, I'm interested in seeing what Peter Ramsey did with the story." And I said, "Wait, Peter Ramsey directed that?"
Right.
I said, yeah, I knew what I was going to get as soon as I stepped into the theater, because I know Peter Ramsey. I knew Peter Ramsey from DreamWorks, right? So I knew what I was going to see on screen and how it was going to feel. I knew it was going to be that, it was going to have that little something to it. You see what I'm saying? But before that, I wasn't even focused on. I was like, I'm not going to go see it in the Spider-Verse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I got there, it was there. That essence was there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's because the writers, I'm drawing a blank on the writers. I think one of them name is Laird. One of his last name is Laird. But the guys that wrote the Lego Movie, they hired Peter Ramsey and they let him do his thing.
Right.
He said it wasn't, when he said something wasn't right, they went and told Sony, hey, Peter doesn't like this. We're changing it. That's it.
Right.
That's what needs to happen. And I think the third thing I would say is, and this is one of the hardest things for these folks to do. They gotta let go of the wheel for a little while. They gotta let go of the wheel and let us drive and see what happens. You know?
Right.
We gonna be
Yeah. So check sidebar. So when we were driving over to Diverse Tunes, it was me, Nicole, my friend Lauren Stevens, she was on the panel, and her nephew. And we had to hurry up and get there. I missed the turn, so I whipped into like a parking lot and backed up and came out. She said, "Did you used to drive a Cadillac?" Because I was one-handed it, right?
Right.
She said, "You used to have a Cadillac, huh?" I started dying. I'm like, nah, I just, I learned how to drive from cats that did, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's just like with the Kings of Comedy when Cedric the Entertainer was like how we be driving a spaceship like you gotta turn your music down. We got this. Just because we don't drive like y'all drive don't mean we can't drive though.
You damn right. And it's more entertaining. So
Right.
so I think that'd be step 3 is that they gotta learn how to let go of the wheel and watch us, because if they watch us, then they'll learn.
Right.
They'll get it. They'll be like, oh, and then that's when they'll have the epiphany of, oh, we should all just be in the room all the time. We should have different people in the room all the time, not just for certain movies. Every single film have this big group of different minds and different attitudes and personalities all the time. That's when you go, what is gumbo? Gumbo's a whole bunch of mixture of different things that come out amazing. Well, if you know how to cook it, let me take that back. You gotta know how to. Everybody out there, don't try to cook gumbo if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, do you know the things that went viral where the other tries to do some stuff with some gumbo? It's like, that's not gumbo.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm saying the person that knows how to do it, they take all those different ingredients and you get this amazing thing called gumbo. So that's number 3. Now for the real world. We're gonna talk about the real world now, not the perfect world.
Wait, so really quick to go back to point number 2, something I thought of a little bit tangent. So you said, and definitely in the writer's room, if it's a woman from Detroit, woman from Memphis, there's certain things that they know. So what is your thought of the discussion around how all of these black people from England or the UK are coming and doing our roles? Now, the people writing it could be black. Do you think the people acting it should be closer to the material, even if they're not maybe from Detroit, not from Memphis? Or are you totally fine with the UK people coming and acting as Martin Luther King, Queen and Slim, all that type of stuff?
I think for me, you can come in my house as long as you wipe your feet. You know what I mean? So if you respect what happened over here with us, just like we should respect what happened over there in the UK and Great Britain with y'all over there, because it was slightly different. Just like what happened in Haiti was a little bit different than what happened in Jamaica. You know what I mean? So if we respect each other's houses, then of course. Now if you're not, that's when I got a problem. You know what I mean? And that's for anybody. That's whether we're talking our own people or whether we're talking people coming in from a white space coming in here. If you respect what's going on, I'm cool with you being in here, right?
Right.
But that's who we are as people. We're welcoming, right? Studies show that we have the most diverse peer groups. We like different. We like different, and we like a cornucopia of different personalities and attitudes. We like that stuff. So as long as people show respect, then yeah, you can come into the house. But if you ain't showing respect, then yeah, I got a problem with you, no matter what skin tone you are. You know what I'm saying? Whether you white or black, if you disrespect it, I want to make you black and blue. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think about that. For instance, the lady that played, Harriet, you know what I'm saying? She had some choice words for black folks over here in the US. And I'm like, see, you can't be rocking like that, but then want to come up in here and chill and have a meal. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Not with me. We got to talk about that first.
Yeah.
We're going to have a conversation about that first, and then we can see what happens at the tail end of that. You know what I mean? So, but as far as where they're from, no, we all black. No, we all black. We're all suffering across the world from the same shit, right? The skin I'm in is considered a sin. We're all stricken with that. So I don't look at it like black folks in the UK are different than black folks over here as far as that goes.
Okay, so go back into talking about the real world.
They're not going to do any of that. So here's why. Because if I know, first off, this is about control, right? A lot of people think racism is about hate. No, that's bigotry. Bigotry's hate. Racism is control in order to hold on to economic power, right? You want to keep the keys. So why are they going to help us? Why are they going to allow us to come into their space and compete on equal ground? That makes no sense. Now, some of them don't think that way, right? Some white folks don't think that way. They're like, no, we're tired of this. We want to all sing Kumbaya and get along and make great stuff together. True.
Mhm.
Okay, those aren't the people that are controlling shit though. So we can
Yeah.
shove that to the side. We can put that over here in the column of we shall overcome one day, whatever. We'll put that over there. We're talking about what it is in those rooms. And those rooms are filled with writers, producers, and executive producers that do not, whether we make good money with our material or not doesn't matter. They don't want to give us the chance on, or they don't want to take the chance on us possibly taking hold of the wheel and we actually drive better.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to do that. And I've already, the story that's going on at Blue Sky right now, I put together a group of people to go talk to the brain trust of this particular story, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many emails did I get back after that meeting? 0. Right? Now, mind you, the group I put together to go talk to the producer and the director of this particular show that they're doing right now, 2 of the people in our group were writers from the writing department. 2 white men that agree with what I was saying wholeheartedly, and they're working on the show, and they're telling these. And I told those 2 guys, I'm keeping the names out because I don't know what kind of backbone they got. You know, they might not want their names out there. But these 2 guys, I told them, I need you in the room as my white whisperer. They were like, what's that? I said, when I say something and their eyes get hella big, they're going to look to y'all and you just say, listen to the black guy. He knows what he's talking about. Then they'll feel calm again. That's your job. And one of them said, damn, Jay, that's fucked up. I said, hey, I didn't make this shit. Your ancestors did. I'm just trying to fix it. He was like,
Right.
I feel you. Let's fix it. So they were right. They're like, okay, cool. That's what we got to do. You know what I'm saying? In the whole meeting, the points I were making, they were like, man, we never thought of it like that. Holy shit, we can. And I'm like, you don't get it. Blue Sky, if y'all do this, what I'm talking about, and not just for this film, but just for films in general, you will be the talk. They will no longer talk about Pixar. They will no longer talk about Disney. Because what I'm talking about right now is cultural authenticity driving the story.
Yeah.
Nobody does that. The few times you see it happen, Black Panther.
Yeah. 200
million made 1.2 billion. That's what happens when you have something culturally authentic. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's of course I brought up that example because that's us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I always bring up a movie called The Town. Have you ever seen The Town? Ben Affleck wrote it and directed it. You ever seen that?
No.
So The Town, and I bring this up because this is about a place I've never been. I've never been to Boston, right?
Okay.
I know nothing about Boston culture. I know nothing about now I do now that I watch The Town. But I guess in Boston, you had like the Southies. They're called the Southies, right? So that was like the hood motherfuckers. So the Southies, they have a long line of family members that rob banks, and they hand the trade down, right? And this movie was basically about that. And Ben Affleck wrote and directed it and starred in it, right? I'm not much of a Ben Affleck fan, right? But when he did what he knows, like The Town, that movie is phenomenal. And I've never been to Boston, but I felt like watching that movie, I felt like I was just in Boston, like chilling with the hood cats from, chilling with the Southies from Boston. And I said, and so you take The Town and you take Black Panther, when you look at it as far as cultural authenticity, it's the same.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck he's from Boston. He knows what he's talking about. Just like you have Ryan Coogler. He flew all the way over to Africa and went to different countries, came back and infused with the African culture. He infused Marvel, and then he also infused the culture of Oakland, where he's from. Yeah. And you get this thing that's that gumbo.
Right. Just
like The Town. The Town, it was some white bread shit. But it was good though. It was gritty, it was nice. So when I went into this meeting and I'm talking to these people, they were agreeing with everything I was saying. And when I said that we could easily beat out Disney and Pixar when it comes to making stuff that's more where our stuff will be discussed more after the movie's over and people are leaving the theater. You know what I mean? I said that's an easy thing to do over and over again. We can have Into the Spider-Verse every time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're ready to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But did they call me or email me afterwards? No, they didn't. Because here's the thing: they don't have to, right? Because when they make their film, they're gonna do the advertising, they're gonna do the marketing, and the film's gonna do a modest profit. So they made their money back. So why do they have to do what I'm suggesting?
Right.
And that's how we have to look at it. They're not gonna, if they don't have to, they're not going to, right? And so, and since they're the ones holding the keys, there's no situation that we can put them in where they have to.
Right.
So I think the one thing we can do to force companies to actually start giving us our own lanes, there's only one thing we can do, and that's hit them at their pocketbooks. That's it. We gotta start. If we see a movie like and this is crazy because I work for Blue Sky, and Blue Sky's owned by Disney now. You know what I'm saying? The merger and all that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? If we want Disney to listen, which I think Bob Iger, he's listening a little bit more because Bob Iger was the one that told the Marvel CEO to get out the way and let Kevin Feige make Black Panther. But if we want somebody like Disney to listen, we don't go see their films. And that's a tough thing, man. That's a super tough thing. But for me, that's the only thing outside of us doing our own thing. That's the only thing that I see us getting into like writing positions. If we get into a writing position, right? Though anything that we write, somebody else has to sign off on it.
Yeah.
Well, who's that person? Well, that's the producer. Okay, so now the producer, if we get into a producer role and the producer signs off on the writer, okay, now who needs to sign off on the producer? The president. Okay, well now we got to become the president. Well now that we're the president of the company, we got those three places now. Okay, who has to sign off on that? The executive producer. It keeps going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So either we infiltrate like that, but why infiltrate? We just start our own companies.
Yeah.
It would be a lot simpler.
Something I noticed, because I follow the Facebook page Women in Animation, and they posted an article in the past week where there's a woman who is now the CEO of some place, I don't remember exactly, but they're like, yeah, she wants more diversity. So I go read the article, and all she mentions is how we need more women. I'm like,
well, technically that's diversity, right?
Yeah, but that's not. And from my perspective, I'm like, that's not the only thing that makes things diverse, right?
Well, that's why I try not to use the term diversity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just say black. Because actually the term diversity was used. I'm not going to get this totally correct because Dr. Claude Anderson, he's just got so much in his brain and he gives so much in his speeches. But he was talking to Dr. Boyce Watkins, or Dr. Boyce Watkins was interviewing him.
Yeah.
And Dr. Claude Anderson talked about where diversity was first used, and it was actually used as a vehicle to disenfranchise Black folks. That's where the term diversity was first used in American language when it came to other people getting treated fairly. They said, okay, we're going to make this neighborhood more diverse. Well, that could be anything. That could be disabled. That could be women. That could be Asians. That could be East Indians. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that term was originally used to keep us from resources and opportunity. So that's why I really don't, the only thing I want to see diversity in is diversity of power. Now, if we have more women in power, whether they're white women, Asian women, Latin women, if they're in power, then that might make a little bit of difference. But just regular diversity in the environment, nah, I'm not falling for that, bruh. I like cultural authenticity.
Yeah.
So whatever is there. So like for instance, if you put a Latin person into this environment and they're culturally authentic, that means they have knowledge of self. So I use the term cultural authenticity now. I usually don't use the term diversity. Even though it is a good term,
Yeah.
But it can be twisted, you know what I'm saying, by
Right.
when it's in the hands of the devil, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah, I did say there's some white folks out there that are the devil. That's what I meant by that. That's exactly what I meant by that. So
The next question: what do you think of more recent representations of Black characters? So that's Into the Spider-Verse, Princess and the Frog, Substance, the Soul movie coming out. What do you think of all those more recent representations of Black characters?
I think in the live action we got some pretty good representation, and I
Mhm.
think in animation it's still not there because, so for instance, um, the thing we just worked on, Spies in Disguise, for instance, right?
Mhm.
Like I can't talk about the inner workings of the stuff that goes on in Blue Sky because that's their stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And but I can tell you this, that the character Lance,
Mhm.
right, was very different, and they were going for something very different
Mhm.
in at Blue Sky that I knew wouldn't last.
Mhm.
I knew it wouldn't last. Why? Because of who was making it.
Mhm.
And I have all the inner workings of what happened. I know the timeline
Mhm.
of when things started here,
Mhm.
and then when certain people, again, certain people that had that pen that had to sign off on shit, they're the ones with the power.
Right.
And those people are the ones that started asking certain questions and saying certain things that started to erode the character of Lance.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that's what I see all the time in animation. And I think, again, the only way we're going to get that real representation, don't get me wrong, it's a brother on screen. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And a lot of his bravado, a lot of his attitude, and a lot of his mannerisms come from a brother that works at Blue Sky named Matt Munn.
Mhm.
And to be completely fucking real right now, Matt Munn could have played that character all the way through. He,
Mhm.
and I know Matt's gonna probably be like, "Damn it, Dre, why you say?" but I gotta keep it 1,000. He could have played Lance.
Mhm.
The movie didn't need a famous actor, because
Mhm.
I heard Matt's scratch. It
Mhm.
was tight. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of
Yeah.
the animation you'll see with Lance is from Matt's behavior.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So so if they would have leaned in on that, if they would have
Mhm.
leaned in on that, which I think they tried to, but I
Right.
think the powers that be got in the way, and that's what's going to happen every single time. Soul is the same thing. Soul is like, okay, it's a brother, but then he dies and he becomes like a little blue guy. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Same thing with Lance. Lance is a brother, and then he becomes a bird. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like either they kill us or they turn us into animals, man. You
Right.
know, and that's an animation. As far as live action, I think we're finally we're on the next wave of us getting some authentic people of color on screen and some
Yeah.
Black folks. But I say wave. I say that because we're not the ocean yet.
Yeah.
We need to be the ocean.
Right.
If we're not the ocean, we're going to get one wave here and there, and that's it. And right
Mhm.
now, it right now it's tasty. I'm digging it, but I'm also dreading. I'm dreading the time it's going to end.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, so my last question: what do you think of the idea going around? Well, I mean, you kind of just talked about this actually. The idea that every time Black characters get a chance to be on screen, they're turned into something else. So you did mention Soul. You mentioned the guy turned into a pigeon. Princess Tiana turned into a frog. What do you think is? Where do you think that come from?
Oh, I think that comes from the fact that we're not looked at as fully human, right? We used to be in the Constitution. We were 3/5 of a human being, right?
Yeah.
That is in the Constitution. So, and I think that America, just America as its own thing, still looks at us like that. I include us in that. We
Yeah.
don't even look at us as fully human.
Yeah.
A lot of us are still so traumatized, and the
Mhm.
wrong things have been normalized. And then on top of that, since they've been normalized and we're traumatized, we keep reopening the wounds by
Mhm.
not speaking what we need into existence. We just keep reinforcing this stuff over and over again, through various different mechanisms and vehicles or whatever. But I think that's still here.
Yeah.
And I think now this is where it gets rough. It ain't going nowhere.
Right.
We have to kill the America that exists and make a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever wants to hold on to the old America, we have to kill them too.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not talking about physically killing people. I ain't talking about bullets and all that, but I'm saying, so here's an example. I was talking to a friend of mine about when Trump was running for office, this, and my partner, this is a white dude I know from PDI. He was like, there's no way Trump can win. There's no way. And I'm like, bruh, you don't understand what kind of country you live in. And mind you, we had a conversation about when Barack Obama first got elected, and he was juiced. He was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I said, I don't know. He was like, what do you mean? And I said, now you about to see what the real America is. He was like, what do you, I said, America don't want no black man in charge? You see what I'm saying? He was like, Dre, you tripping, man. Nah. I mean, he was like, look, everybody's cheering about Barack being in office right now. I'm like, no, not everybody is not.
Right.
In this small little bubble we're cheering,
right,
there's a whole nother America out there, right? So then when Trump got in office, he's just pissed now. Like a lot of people that he used to talk to, he don't talk to anymore. You know the whole nine.
Yeah.
So we were talking one day, and he said, man, Hillary should have did this, that, and the third, and she would have got in. I said, don't put this on Hillary.
Right.
I said, this is y'all's fault. He was like, what do you mean? I said, when y'all was at your house having Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner or a wedding, and y'all were together, when that obscure relative said some weird shit, you didn't alienate them right then and there. You gave them excuses, and you tried to act like you didn't hear what they said, or maybe they didn't mean what they said in that way. This is y'all's fault for not killing this America back in the 50s when you had the chance. Trump wouldn't have ran if he didn't know that this America still existed. So my thing is, we have to kill this America completely, and birth. And matter of fact, Dr. King talked about this in his speech, "The Two Americas," and we cannot coexist. Fuck all that bullshit about kumbaya with some white nationalists. You know what I mean? We ain't doing that. We enemies. That's it. Now we're enemies because of how they think, not because of what we think. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that we're enemies. You know what I'm saying? The die has been cast, right? So we need, if we are to be fully actualized and we are to be treated as full human beings, we have to let this America go, and we have to start this new America. And then when it comes down to it, when that America tries to rear its ugly head, we cut that head off. That's the only way we're going to get past this, man. Period. I don't know if that's dark or what, but that's how I look at it. Because I mean, I
gotta go through the darkness to see the light.
That's it. And I grew up with people that I went to elementary school with. You know what I'm saying? And when Trump got in office, they started talking strange. Right? For me, I didn't cry over it. I just cut them off.
Right.
Okay, we enemies now. That's what it is, and that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And some people might say, well, that's kind of fatalistic, Dre. I'm like, well, you know what? Our shit's kind of fatal right now. Every 28 hours, a black man or a black woman's getting killed by the police. You know what I'm saying? We're still getting ridiculous interest rates on our loans when we want to open up a business or buy a home, even if we get the loan in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Redlining still exists. Food deserts in the hood still exist. Oil companies want to put their oil refineries in black and browns, but miss me with all that kumbaya shit. Nah, we have to kill this old America, man. Yeah, and then we'll be okay.
So anybody out there, whatever your thoughts on blackness in animation, just put it down in the comments. Like so you know it's real. Like so I know it's real. Comment and tell me how you feel. Subscribe to Seal the Deal and sign up for post notifications to show your zeal. And we will see you in the next video. Peace.